So I'm talking about safety versus refuge. And one of the things that safety calls us to do is forget the wisdom of our journey. Because we leave in that to go here and be safe. There's not a complete embrace, a complete embodiment of what we've gone through. Some of it bad, but there's wisdom there. But that safety is, I'm leaving this and I'm going to get this. I'm going to go from place to place to place, to people to people, to work, to school to school. We're going to do all the stuff. And we forget. Sometimes I already took that class. I already knew this. In my experience, it has encouraged me to forget the level of competence I have about a number of things. And I'm paying people and going places. What it also does, I believe, is call us into somebody else's framework. Because I'm going somewhere into this to be safe. Interestingly enough, it's so amazing because central to this path, whether it's Buddhist or mindfulness, is agency, is self-compassion, is connecting to who we are, really. Not that fake self, not that, I'll speak for myself because I perform like hell. You can't tell me between the code switching and, I was acting, and you get rewarded for that, right? You get rewarded in many safe places. But I don't want to blame the places. I'm just saying because I was not understanding there is no safety, but there is refuge. And central for me is the refuge of embrace of my true self, the good, the bad, the ugly. And know that there is no good, there's no bad, there's no ugly, it just is. It's the human experience that is both individual and the same, the multiplicity of one. And in understanding that, there is the connection that anything that's separate, even when I try to make myself separate, and I was about that separation life. That's how I was going to be safe. I was not going to be me. And the more I have embraced, the refuge is here. It ain't nowhere else. Before I can connect out there, no matter, before I can connect with ancestors, before I can connect with anything, I've got to take this leap of faith for myself, to myself. This leap of faith that nothing is wrong with me. I'm messy as hell, yeah, but nothing is wrong with me. And that's a journey. And why I and many other human beings would rather vote the way we vote, or say the way we say, or hurt the way we hurt, or search the way we search. Because refuge, true refuge, requires true, unmitigated, messy connection and honoring of our hearts. Not necessarily our thoughts, because thoughts be thinking. We don't have to believe everything we think. But can we be with it? To be with refuge is to the heartbreak of discernment. I got to learn some things. I can't. There is no book. There is no, I've often talked about the difference between the cooking library and the kitchen. The cooking library, I can do coq au vin. I can do what's some fancy stuff that I don't know nothing about. I can do braised lamb tips. I can do, because they got the picture. I got the picture, and it's ooh, ooh. And then I go to the kitchen, and I've got a can of tuna fish, some mayonnaise, maybe some sweet relish, salt and pepper. And that's what I've got. And some, non-artisanal bread. And the safety, I can be smart in the cooking library. I can look, I can study some more, I can. But when I go to the kitchen, can I connect to the gift, the miracle, the interconnectedness of many beings that allowed me to have the can of tuna fish and the mayo, and all that stuff? Or am I going to stand there going, I don't have it, I need to get it. Where can I go? Where can I go to get it? But what I got is what's in the kitchen. And maybe I'll remember that, oh yeah, I remember that I grew up on tuna fish. Man, what am I running? And that's right, I know how to make this. I know how to make it good too. Maybe I can call across the street or next door, and say, you got a half an onion over there? The refuge is a call to be present, not just to myself, but with the possibility. Somebody got an onion? Look at all the people that helped me get this sweet relish. The refuge is in the present moment, but for me, the gift, the appreciation of the present moment, and also a call to memory. There's this sister I watch on TikTok. She's African American, but she married to a Mexican brother. And she be talking about how she put that Mexican food together. She said, I know y'all be talking about me, but he eat it, we good. Refuge calls us, I believe, to connect to we good. It's not right now. It's not, some people conflate it's good with it's right. So if we're not talking about what's wrong, we're saying things are right. But they're two separate things. I'm speaking, some of y'all are learning the dialect of my lineage, the way the different connotations as opposed to the denotations. I think I got this right? The denotation is the dictionary, and the connotation is how we using the words. And when people are shoving words in your mouth that are not your words, because they need you to work for free for a couple of 100 years. If you're brilliant, what you'll do is take the words you're given and make them do something else for you. So don't conflate good with right, because refuge say, yeah, you good. It doesn't mean that racism stopped happening. It doesn't mean that your life or your body is doing things that you would rather not have it do. But it does call awareness that in this moment, in addition to people being too loud or too quiet or not having enough of this or too much of that, I have noticed that the buds are happening. They must have happened last night. I looked at them and they weren't there. And this morning I got up and went, pow. The refuge that we're offered is being aware to it all. But I got to trust that I can be aware to it all, because safety got me looking like a turtle, right? I'm covered up. I am covered up now, but I don't see nothing. I don't see possibilities. One of the inquiries, because we like to inquire in this practice, and look at that attachment to safety and that aversion to refuge. What we think happening over there? I know I used to, man. Fear. I'm in fear recovery. I won't ever be. Many of us, maybe all of us are. Some of us, anyway. But the opportunity, that the awareness of the way fear works, is also the way how I might deepen my practice of courage. See, if you're not afraid, you can't be courageous. So, and in my human experience, I understand that there may be some people walking around on this planet that have hit their millionth lifetime and they rolling different, but I don't think they're here this afternoon. How might we be present to it all and take refuge in that? I know it's heartbreaking. This stuff is easier to talk about than it is to live, particularly when you're in a world that you absolutely get rewarded in the search for safety. They tell you, some of us, until you get a certain age. It didn't happen to me, but they want teachers to work until you drop. But for a lot of people in corporate America, got refuge, and then you get sick, or then you just need to take a break, and all those safety credits I've seen people get, It's like, yeah. Or you make too much money and you want to get somebody younger and cheaper. Or somebody whose body works all the time. It's not enough for it to work some of the time. It's got to work all the time. There's not even safety in youth. I got young people out here in wheelchairs. There's not even safety in organic mung beans. Just saying. In my experience, I don't know. Anyway, I love the poet Joy Harjo, and I'll end with this. Because I think, remember, refuge doesn't want us to retreat. It wants us to remember. That's the 5 remembrances. Remember the sky you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father, he is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their stories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember, you are all people and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is, that life is. Remember. Remember. Ayesha bowing out. Thank you for your attention. I'm going to play, take a minute, I'm going to play my sound bell because that's what I do these days. And then welcoming in your wisdom. Please come in as you will or may.
funny. I really resonated with Ayesha's talk about how a safety is not guaranteed. Like, I really think we're all like one disaster away from having our lives like completely changed, and you can't um, predict that. And as much as I love stability and knowing what's going to happen next, like I have to remind myself if something difficult really changes my life, that I am adaptable and have resilience, and that I also have community to turn to if things become too much or become too difficult. Um, yeah, so just knowing we probably all have had something difficult to endure in this life already, and knowing that you got through that, it gives me like strength and assurance for the future. Like whatever comes, like we can adapt to it.
Adrian bowing in. This is more than like one small segment of a Dharma talk. You know, this topic is so rich and thick and wide and profound. Um, I'm the first thing that really came to mind as I was listening about this idea of safety is that coming into this path, um, the most central principle is like they're suffering. That's just, it just is. We come into this path with the understanding, well, maybe not with it, but you're going to get it on the path that like there is suffering. You're in the teachings, it says there is suffering, period. And so then why do we believe that there's a place absent of suffering? What, how do we create this delusion that there is some place absent of suffering when the first truth is there is suffering? um, the one thing you know for sure, you know? Um, so that caused me to have my own chuckle because I'm like, yeah, you know, that's part of the agreement of coming here into this life, into life. Like I learned so many of my lessons looking at nature because that to me tells me what is universally true outside of meanings that I have made up in my mind or any of us in the collective consciousness have made up in our mind. I look out at the natural world being what it is, doing what it does, so I can see what is always true. And, you know, these animals don't run around here thinking that they're going to be safe. These plants don't grow up thinking they're gonna be safe. Ain't there aren't other beings that have any level of assumption of safety. They're like, well, I'm gonna just go out here and do the best that I can and deal with whatever shows up. You know, listen, if I see a bear coming, I'm gonna use my wisdom and move in the alternative direction. I have no expectation that even if I hide behind this tree, the bear is not going to see me. and come get me. I have no expectation that we're going to have an agreement that says you not going to come for me if we cross paths in the forest. Just saying. Um, yeah, so the delusion. We talk about the delusion of separation, and then there is the delusion of safety. That somehow that's a right. You know, our and so then that calls me into this sort of supremacy culture that says somehow I'm supposed to be above danger. I'm supposed to be above the randomness of the universe somehow, you know? Um, so that's interesting to think about. I'll sit with that some more too, because it's like this idea that I'm better than being subject to danger, you know, that I'm entitled, because that's really what safety is. It's like the way that we hold it in our society is like, well, I'm entitled to a protected place where nothing can touch me. And like, let's be with that, because that's worthy of investigation for me. Um, and then, you know, I love words. I really love words. I have a love-hate relationship with words, but primarily love. And so, of course, I had to look up definitions. It's interesting to me that definitions of words change and evolve over time. Because, like, we've made refuge even mean something different than what it really means. So, the root word of refuge, in refuge, means backward, and the fuge means flee. So, refuge means to flee backward. And I took that in as like taking a step back for perspective. Can I take a step back and really get into a place of perspective about what this is, what's true, what I know to be true? Bear probably also means flee backward, right? But you know, I looked at some of the other definitions of it, and in fairness, I removed things that talked about like because it says a place of shelter or protection, and it said from danger, and I'm like, well, but you can't necessarily be protected from danger, so I took that out. But a place of shelter or protection, okay. A place to flee to, okay, and that's not always a physical place. Like, where do I go to in my mind and in my heart? Where do I flee to in my mind and my heart in this situation? And it talked about protection from distress and anxiety. Again, not a physical place, but how do I learn to care for myself so that I'm not subject to the distress and the anxiety that can arise from the meanings that I'm making about things? Relief from anxiety. I love that idea of relief. Relief, a place of relief, a place that I flee to from distress, a secure dwelling place. So, a place that I dwell that is secure. So, then of course, that made me look up secure and security, because I'm like, okay, what's that? Freedom from danger, fear, or anxiety. It does not say absence, it says freedom. So that doesn't mean danger is not present. That doesn't mean fear is not present. That doesn't mean anxiety is not present, but I am free in the presence of danger and fear and anxiety. So I'm letting all of that marinate as I cultivate this relationship with a dwelling place where I am free, a dwelling place where I have relief, a dwelling place where I am not subject to distress and anxiety. And how do I cultivate that? How do I practice that? Because I consistently have this image. I grew up in Tornado Alley, right? I grew up in Oklahoma. And so when I literally understand being in the midst of a swirling storm where shit is going crazy. I mean, crazy, crazy. Lifting cars up and flying cows around, crazy. Like, so when there's a storm swirling about, how do I find a place to dwell where I am free from fear, from anxiety, from distress, a place that I can go to? I can literally be standing in the midst of the storm and still be the calm. I can be the calm. Like, it's not coming from somewhere else. I can be the calm. That is actually my inherent dwelling place. That is my origin story, is the place of calm. That's the truth of who I am. That's from where I come. Uh, so how do I step back, to go back to that meaning about refuge, to take a step back and really get perspective about, I am the calm. I am the dwelling place. I am free from danger and anxiety and fear, no matter what this swirling storm may look like. Um, that's the practice. And to me, that's the point of the practice. Like, why else are we? This is why I've heard, Mama, you talk about, like, we don't need to go on a retreat to be in practice, because the life is happening out here. So the real practice is, how do I be that calm in the life that's happening here? Not, where it's quiet and we got the rock stream and everything flowing. Like, how do I do that? How do I sit in the middle of New York City in Times Square and find the calm? That's the practice. Can I continually recreate that dwelling place inside when I'm in the midst of the square? Um, it means I have to be responsible. I can't delegate that out for someone else to do. Um, so that's the practice, and I'll land there. Adrienne, bowing out.
Over here. Over here, Melanie.
Laura bowing in. I guess I would just offer that as Adrian was talking about sort of breaking out the meaning of the word refuge, I was thinking, I was reminded strongly of the sort of foundational image in the Heartwidth community, which is the Sankofa, which is, I'm sure, Ayesha, you could articulate this better, but my understanding of Sankofa is that it's this image, encourages us to go back and get it, to remember the past in order to create a better present and a better future. So that perhaps, refuge isn't as much a noun as a verb, it's like the process of allowing whatever is in the past, as Ayesha has already said so eloquently, to be true, even when it's not pleasant. And to even acknowledge that the present may not be pleasant in some ways, like Adrian was saying, like, what if there's a bear? But none of this is unnatural or unexpected. And it can all be embraced at some level. Laura bowing out.
We just have a few more minutes left. So just calling in those that haven't spoken to share if they feel so called, then your presence is the best communication, the foundational. Well, I do want to call in one of the tragedies and great evils of, I'll speak to this culture, probably all cultures, but I'll speak to this one, is to make lack of safety a moral failing. And in the case of Black people in this country, if we're not around, it's going to be safe. And so if you don't have safety, if you live in some place, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Haiti, Palestine, basically most people in the world, but particularly here, I experience it's a moral failing. Something is wrong with you if you live someplace where you can hear gunshots. So that hierarchy and that support of supremacy and delusion of separation, work together in very particular ways. I've driven across country couple of times, and at the first or second time I did, it was the same. I was in, what was it, Arizona somewhere, and this man at this truck stop was telling me about how messed up indigenous people was. And it was the same language that if you on the East Coast, you'll hear about black people. Or when I went West Coast, you'll hear about, Hispanic people. And what is that? So just that understanding that it's not just, it's a moral failing. You have bad morals if you are someplace where you are not safe. You have made bad decisions with your life. So just bringing that in there as well. And how that self plays itself out in this society. Although I know people in gated communities that still don't feel safe. Okay. Well, what a gift to be together and calling on folks that may have wanted to be here but had Zoom difficulties. We here, so they are here. And wanting to call in. Let me get Zenju Earthland. I've been feeling her a lot lately. Amazing teacher of the Zen tradition, although she's an outlaw Zen practitioner, I believe. And I have it here. Okay, I don't have it right here. So I will just call in this prayer, that we take a breath and connect to the mysterious journey that got us to this moment, and appreciate every step we have taken individually and collectively to be here now as best we can. Calling in those who are in a place of fear for reasons having to do with policies and reasons having to do with their thoughts that are not connected to any objective reality. Calling in those who are in a state of despair for whatever reason, under any condition. Connecting them to the truth that each moment offers an opportunity for refuge, each moment offers an opportunity for freedom. That we serve as a reminder to each other that we are not alone, regardless of the particulars. We are not alone in our suffering or our joy. And may this moment move up, touching all beings in all realms, awakening them and us to the truth that we are free now. Ashe, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, may it be so. Okay, you know how we do. There is music to be had. Oh, I'll edit it. I'll figure out a way to edit this because I never stopped the recording.